I was 2 minutes into my lunch break when Crystal called everyone to the floor. "Training session," she said, like it wasn't a full-on ambush. The big screen flickered on, my name sat at the top of the first slide in bold. "Zelda's client engagement tracker," Crystal announced, lips curling into that familiar smirk. Or, as I like to call it, a year's worth of time-wasting trivia. I froze. My sandwich was still in my hand, half unwrapped, the bread already drying out against my fingers. Every single person in the room, all 25 of them, turned toward me at once. Chairs creaked, someone coughed. I didn't move, I didn't blink. Crystal started clicking through the slides like she was presenting a joke she couldn't wait to land. Birthdays, client notes, driver preferences, small details I'd written down quietly, off script, sometimes after hours. Things no one ever asked me to track, things that actually made clients stay. She kept going. "This one's my favorite," she said, highlighting a line. "Client's daughter just started chemo. Be gentle on the late fee call." Then she laughed, sharp and quick. Half the room dropped their eyes to the floor, the other half stared at the screen, faces stiff, dead quiet. "You people think this is good client work?" Crystal said, sweeping her gaze across the room. "This is emotional babysitting. Logistics isn't therapy." Then she backed out of the folder. Delete. I swear to God, she hit that key like she was killing a spider. The screen blinked. Everything vanished. A full year of work gone in a second. "No need to clutter up the drive with fluff," she said lightly. "Let's stick to real metrics next quarter." Nobody spoke, not even the guy who once asked me to help him draft a sympathy email after a client's warehouse burnt down. I caught his eye. He looked away like he didn't know me. "Before we go on," Crystal added, already shifting gears, "quick note, while you're listening, tell us which country you're watching from." I stood there, chest tight, fingers twitching at my sides. My mouth was dry, but my palms were slick with sweat. I felt hot, embarrassed, furious, and weirdly dizzy all at once, like my body couldn't agree on one reaction. Then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, a known number. I almost ignored it, almost let it ring just out of spite, but something made me answer. "Zelda Winters speaking. This is Chloe Banner from Forward Loop Logistics. We've been following your client retention work at Tolvex. Would you have a moment to talk opportunity?" My brain lagged behind the words. Chloe kept talking. "What happened just now? That was a gift. I think you know what I'm talking about." Her voice was calm, steady, like she already knew I'd answer before I even did. I stepped toward the glass door, nodding even though no one could see me. My hands were shaking, but I forced them still. "Yeah," I said, "I have a moment." And I walked out of the room while Crystal was still talking. I stepped outside, still on the call with Chloe, and leaned against the brick wall next to the dumpster. My pulse was wild, like I'd just outrun something with teeth. She said she'd follow up later that afternoon. I said, sure. Then I hung up, locked my phone, and shoved it deep into my jacket pocket like it might explode. I had no idea that call would flip my whole life sideways, but if I was being honest, the real shift started long before that. About 18 months earlier, I joined Tolv Freight Systems as a dispatch associate. My first week, I almost quit from sheer boredom. Route tracking, ticket logs, delivery confirmations. Same loop every day. Get yelled at for things you couldn't control. Crystal was already my supervisor back then, running the floor like a factory line. If it wasn't in the manual, you didn't touch it. You didn't ask, you didn't suggest, you just punched in, kept your head down, and punched out. I learned fast, but I started noticing patterns. Drivers calling with the same complaints, wrong warehouse hours, broken scanners, late pickups that never got fixed, tickets marked closed without solutions, clients calling to say deliveries were sloppy or drivers were rude, and no one followed up. Everyone just assumed they'd keep coming back, except they didn't. We lost 2 mid-size accounts in my second month. No exit interviews, no questions asked. Crystal's response was simple. Not a good fit anyway. I couldn't let it go. I kept replaying what those clients actually said. One woman from Eaglewood Floral mentioned our drivers kept using the front entrance instead of ringing the side bell. That was it. Such a small thing, but it mattered to them. So I opened a new tab on my dashboard. Didn't tell anyone. I started logging things the system didn't care about. Repeat complaints, family details drivers mentioned in passing, warehouse quirks, client preferences. I kept it for myself so I could stop problems before they turned into losses. One driver mentioned his daughter was graduating and asked for Friday off. The system flagged it as a conflict. I remembered it anyway and reassigned him quietly. He came back Monday with donuts. Another client mentioned her dog had surgery and missed a delivery window. I wrote a quick note wishing him well. She replied with 3 hearts. I don't even like dogs. People thought I was just chatty. One guy in routing started calling me Dispatcher Oprah. Then things shifted. Clients started asking for me by name, not every time, but enough to notice. They knew I'd remember if their regular dock guy was on vacation. They knew I wouldn't talk to them like they were just a ticket number. Crystal noticed fast. "Don't waste time on side chatter," she snapped one morning. "You're not a therapist." I nodded. I didn't stop. What really bothered her was that I wasn't selling anything. I wasn't offering discounts or freebies. I was just listening. So I got quieter about it, logged more, paid closer attention. A kid starting college, a warehouse manager retiring, a sick parent, just a sentence or two. One Tuesday, our oldest ice cream distributor, Marty Preston, called in. His order looked wrong. He sounded wrong, too. Tired, distracted. Mid-call, he said, "My old man passed last week." No pause, just kept going. Afterwards, I added a note. "Father passed away. Don't push next week's billing." Then I did the thing Crystal would have fired me for. I sent a handwritten card. Just said, "Thinking of you and your family, Zelda at Tolv." A month later, Marty signed up for our seasonal express lane. Premium rate, no negotiation. Just said, "Glad you're here." That's when I knew this wasn't luck. Then came the vineyard, Pamela Torres, boutique winery in Oregon. High maintenance, shipment delays drove her insane. She'd once threatened to leave over chipped tasting kits. We hit weather issues. She complained, I followed up fast, explained the delays, and mentioned her holiday inventory looked incredible in her last promo. Nothing overdone. She wrote back, "You actually read that." The next week, she upgraded her plan. No push, no bargaining. I wasn't flattering people. I wasn't faking concern. I was just making sure they knew they weren't invisible. Drivers noticed too. Drew hated the Denver loop, said the client rep was cold and intense. I called her, listened, learned she hated early deliveries because her kid had therapy. We shifted the window an hour. Drew came back with a breakfast burrito and said, she smiled at me. After that, he asked for Denver Fridays. They weren't stupid. They knew I paid attention. Every time a problem came up, someone said, "Ask Zelda." Crystal hated it. "This isn't a popularity contest," she snapped. "You're not their buddy." "No," I said calmly. "I'm the reason they're still here." She told me to stick to protocols. I didn't argue. I just kept getting results. So when the annual regional meeting rolled around, I wasn't surprised. Big room, free donuts, CEO George Langley in a bad blazer. Slides clicked past. Fuel efficiency, errors, turnover. Then a bright blue chart shot upward. Client satisfaction is up 38%, he said. Highest jump in 6 years. People clapped. Retention was up. Complaints were down. Something was working. He never said my name. He didn't need to. Everyone in dispatch looked at me. Crystal didn't clap. Her foot bounced under the table. She followed me into the break room, shut the door. "You think I don't know what that was?" I asked. "What was?" "This emotional manipulation act," she hissed. "It's unprofessional. It's not scalable. You're destabilizing this department." Clients seemed to disagree. Her jaw tightened. She slapped a memo on the table. "You're being reassigned. I want a full year analysis of your client interactions. Every note, every reroute, executive format." I stared at her. "That's a punishment." She didn't blink. "It's a performance evaluation. You wanted attention, now you've got it." I took the paper and walked out, not a word more. Took me 3 weeks. I stayed late, ate from vending machines, dug through everything. Calls, chat logs, internal notes. I built graphs, connected client tier upgrades to contact frequency, matched revenue bumps to follow-ups I'd sent after complaints. 60 pages labeled indexed, proof. When I handed it in, I didn't even feel tired. I felt dangerous. Crystal took it like it was a stack of receipts, didn't even say thank you. Just, I'll review this. Hope you do, I said. I turned to walk away. She called after me. Just so we're clear, this doesn't make you irreplaceable. I didn't turn around, didn't say it did, and I kept walking. The email hit my inbox the next morning. Subject line, mandatory training, client communication refresher. Crystal had booked the entire conference room from 9 to 11. Everyone from dispatch was required. I knew it wasn't a refresher. I knew exactly what it was. Still, I showed up, took my usual spot by the window, second row. Crystal stood at the front, one hand on the mouse, the other tucked into her blazer like she thought she was leading a seminar at MIT. "Thanks for coming," she said. "Today is about improving how we communicate with clients, what works and what wastes time." She clicked. My stomach dropped. Right there on the projector, the front page of my report, the one I spent 3 weeks building, the title, the charts, the engagement metrics, all of it blown up on the screen like a middle school science fair. She didn't look at me. "Let's take a look at some examples," she said. Click slide 2. A customer comment I logged about a shipment that arrived late during a family funeral week. Crystal read it aloud in a mocking tone. Client asked to skip Monday due to emotional stress. Confirmed and added follow-up for Friday. She looked around the room. "Seriously, we're noting emotional stress now?" No one laughed. Click, another slide. Customer's kid broke leg. Give extra time on unload calls. She smirked. Who cares if the guy's kid broke his leg? Are we sending balloons now? Still no one laughed. She went on like that. 10 more slides. One note about a driver's wedding, another about a warehouse manager's retirement party. Every single one of them she twisted into a joke. I sat frozen, couldn't move. I caught Drew's eyes from across the room. He looked pissed. So did Pamela, one of the other associates. Crystal kept going. "These are distractions," she said. "This kind of hand-holding slows us down. Our job is logistics, not life coaching." Then came the final slide, a full chart I built, revenue growth versus engagement follow-ups. She didn't say a word, just hovered her mouse over the folder on the shared drive. "I've decided we don't need this clutter anymore." One click, delete. She turned back to the room. "It's a waste of server space. Starting next quarter, we'll focus on hard metrics only." No one said a thing. You could have heard the AC humming. I wanted to stand up. I wanted to call her out. I wanted to scream. But I sat there, hands gripping the chair so tight my knuckles ached. She moved on like it was nothing, pulled up a generic slide deck from HR about tone in emails. My ears were buzzing. My face was hot. I wasn't embarrassed. I was burning. But I wasn't broken, because I knew something she didn't. That report, that work, it wasn't just numbers on a screen. It was people. And those people still trusted me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I slipped out of the conference room like I was going to the bathroom. My phone was still buzzing in my pocket. I answered on the second ring. "Zelda Winters speaking. This is Chloe Banner, Forward Loop Logistics. Do you have 5 minutes?" I stepped into the hallway, pressed my back to the wall. "You've got 3, I said. She chuckled. "Fair enough, I'll keep it short. We've been following your work at Tolv. We know it's not official, but the client engagement system, that's you, right?" I didn't answer. Chloe didn't wait. "We've spoken to 5 vendors who renewed or upgraded this year. They all mentioned you. So did 2 drivers we just hired away from Tolv." My heart was pounding, but my voice stayed steady. "Okay, so what are you offering?" "Director of Client Integration. Base salary is $500,000, profit sharing included. Flexible team, remote optional. You build it your way." I didn't even blink. "Not asking me to bring over client data," I said. "Nope, just asking you to keep being exactly who you are." That was it. That was the pitch. No sales deck, no 5-round interview, just someone who saw the value without needing a chart. I nodded to no one. I accept. I'll send the contract right now. PDF with e-sign. Good. Send it. I hung up and pulled the conference room door open. Crystal was still up there, droning on about tightening communication chains like she hadn't just lit my work on fire 15 minutes ago. I walked to the front without asking, stepped right in front of the projector light, and faced the room. "Quick announcement," I said, loud enough to stop her. Crystal's mouth snapped shut. "I am resigning," I said, "effective immediately." Half the room blinked. The other half looked like they were waiting for a punchline. Crystal laughed once. "That's not how this works. You'll need to—" I pulled out my phone, opened the PDF, and spun the screen toward her. Signed contract, forward loop logistics, director level. I'm gone. She reached for it like she thought she had authority. I pulled it back. "I don't need your approval." From the corner, someone stood up. George Langley, the CEO. He didn't say a word, just straightened his blazer and slipped out of the room like he wanted no part of what was about to happen. Crystal stepped forward. "You can't just leave without proper offboarding." "Watch me." I turned back to the team. "For what it's worth, if any of you want to work somewhere people actually give a damn, you know where to find me." I didn't wait for applause. I didn't need it. I walked out, calm as hell, the door swinging shut behind me. The elevator doors opened and I stepped into Forward Loop's downtown office for the first time. Small space, concrete floors, startup energy. But every person I passed smiled like I'd already won them money. Chloe came out from her glass cubicle with both arms open. "Welcome to your kingdom," she said. My office wasn't big, but the nameplate was real and the title read Director of Client Integration. I dropped my bag, cracked my knuckles, and opened a blank spreadsheet. 2 hours later, I had my first incoming call. Didn't recognize the number, but the name stopped me cold. Pamela Torres, The Vineyard. I answered, "Hey Pamela, it's Zelda." She laughed loud and honest. "Knew you'd pick up. Didn't even have to go through a switchboard." I smiled. "What's up? Don't suppose Forward Loop's taking on any temperamental wine people who hate freight windows and love extra cushioning?" "No pitch," I said. "You know how I work." "Exactly why I'm calling." By the end of that call, we were already sketching out a custom shipping tier. An hour later, Marty, the ice cream guy. "Your name popped up on my LinkedIn," he said. "Had to see if you landed somewhere smart." I didn't even tell him about the new platform. He told me he wanted in. Third one was a regional pet supply chain. They'd always been lukewarm with Tolv. Never sent holiday cards, never gave feedback. "Zelda," the guy said, "you're the one who remembered my dog had hip surgery last year." "Rafis," I said. "Black lab. Slow on stairs." Dead silence for a second. Then, "How soon can we move our Midwest lanes over?" By the end of week 1, I had 3 switchover calls scheduled, and 2 of them already reviewing contracts. No cold emails, no chasing, just people who found me and wanted to follow. Meanwhile, I started hearing stories from my old coworkers, the ones still stuck in that beige Tolvec maze. Crystal was doing cold outreach now, using templated emails. Even changed the footer to include her direct line, which used to be some sacred thing only top-tier clients got. Didn't matter. Clients weren't responding. One forwarded her email to me and just wrote, "Too little, too late." Word was getting around fast. Forward Loop didn't offer discounts. We didn't do pressure sales, but people were talking. They actually listen. That phrase kept showing up in messages, in comment threads, and LinkedIn posts. Every time someone called me, they came in hot with loyalty, already sold before I said a word. Crystal must have been spinning, watching names fall off the Tolvec sheet. I hadn't poached a soul. They came on their own. They remembered birthdays, tone, care. All I had to do was answer the phone. By week 4, Chloe stopped pretending to be surprised when the numbers came in. 43%, she said, holding up her iPad. "That's where we're at right now, month over month." I was on my third coffee building out another onboarding doc. Give it another week, I said. Pamela's contract closes tomorrow, and Marty just asked for exclusive routing. She grinned. You're not building a client list, you're building a fan base. She wasn't wrong. I wasn't even halfway through my first quarter, and the switchovers just kept coming. The small ones, the medium ones, and then the two that hit hardest, the vineyard and the ice cream distributor. Both formally announced they were ending their long-term Tolvec contracts. Pamela's exit email went public, a full LinkedIn post. It didn't mention names, but she thanked the person who saw me as more than a case number. Marty commented with a thumbs up emoji and 100% agree. Chloe walked over that afternoon and slapped a sticky note on my monitor. It just said, "Keep going." That same day, someone forwarded me an email from Tolv. Subject line, "We miss working with you." It was signed by Crystal. I knew the format. It was a copy-paste with a few fields filled in. Name, last contact date, and one sad sentence trying to sound warm. Hope Rufus is doing better. Only problem, Rufus had passed away 6 months ago. The client had posted about it. They never responded. The next one Crystal sent had the wrong anniversary date in it. Another said, "Happy retirement" to a guy who'd only taken a 2-week cruise. It was brutal. Templated personalization that fell apart the second someone actually read it. I didn't even need to respond. The clients were doing it for me. Then came the rumors. One of my old Tolvec coworkers texted me late one night. "You didn't hear this from me, but the board's getting involved." Apparently, leadership had started digging into retention reports and revenue drops and Crystal's so-called transition plan after I left. She was called into 2 emergency reviews. I wasn't in the room, but I heard enough. She told them I was poaching clients, but all anyone had to do was check the timeline. Every call I'd taken, every contract I'd signed, the clients had reached out after the public deletion meeting. Some within hours, others days later. Not a single one had been contacted by me first. The data cleared me. The damage buried her. One morning, I came in and Chloe handed me a printout. "Crystal's last blast," she said. It was a mass email sent to key clients offering a limited-time rate drop and personal care from senior leadership. Nobody answered. That was the last time her name hit my radar for a while. The truth was, I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to humiliate her. She'd done all of it to herself. I just gave people an option and they took it. I was in the middle of onboarding a chain of organic grocers when my assistant knocked on the glass. "Call from George Langley," she said. "Says it's urgent." I stared at her for a second. I hadn't heard that name in weeks. Put him through. He came on the line all smooth and polite like he hadn't ducked out of the room the day I quit. "Zelda, I'm hoping we can discuss a possible path forward." Didn't realize we were still on the same road. He laughed. That fake chuckle executives use when they're scared but trying not to sound it. "Look, Tolvec had had a rough couple months. We've reevaluated certain leadership dynamics and would like to offer you a position." I leaned back in my chair, spun it slowly. "Go on." "Senior Vice President of Client Strategy, total control over client systems, hiring, direction, all of it." "What's the pay?" "Double your previous salary plus annual bonus and stock options." "Anything else?" "Full team. Your call on structure. We're willing to be flexible." I let the silence stretch long enough to make him sweat. Then I said, "Forward Loop gave me that same control before it was trending." He cleared his throat. "I understand, but I don't think you're seeing the scope of what we're offering." "I think I'm seeing it just fine." "Zelda, I'm not coming back, George." He didn't fight me, just muttered a short, "Understood," and hung up. A month later, Tolv laid off a third of its staff. Word got out that they sold off 2 of their regional divisions to a Chicago-based firm nobody had heard of. Crystal, she didn't make the cut. Someone forwarded me a screenshot of her updated LinkedIn profile. Consultant, organizational efficiency, available for short-term contracts. No mention of Tolv, no mention of titles, just a faded headshot and a quiet list of made-up wins. The same day that news hit, Chloe called me into her office. "We want to make it official," she said, sliding over a contract with a forward loop header and a title across the top. Managing Partner, Client Division. I signed it before I sat down. That office I used to have? Now I had a floor, a full team, real glass walls, not just stickers. I didn't have to chase people. They came to us. Every time a client sent a renewal, I knew why. Not because of pricing or perks, but because they trusted us. We remembered the name of their warehouse dog. We knew when their kid got married. We showed up when no one else did. Then the messages started. Not from clients, from my old coworkers. One line at a time. "Wish I'd followed you. You were right. Any openings over there?" I didn't gloat. Didn't have to. I just replied when I had room and I kept building. I didn't have to burn anything down. Crystal did that herself, one spreadsheet at a time. Her obsession with process blinded her to the simplest truth. People don't stay because you follow the rules. They stay because they feel like they matter. There were no lawsuits, no public drama, no NDAs or news articles, just doors quietly closing behind her, one client at a time. Now, when I walked the forward loop floor, I didn't see rows of gray desks and dead silence. I saw pictures of kids taped to monitors, notes about birthdays, drawings from a driver's niece pinned to someone's whiteboard. Every name in our system had a note next to it that wasn't about money. It was about people. One guy in the Florida region liked lemon donuts. Another had to skip Wednesdays to take his wife to chemo. One client had a cat named Boots who always knocked over their label printer. We knew. We remembered. Every time I got one of those emails that started with, "You probably don't remember, but..." I did. Every single time. They thought it was inefficient. I proved it was everything, and the best revenge. I didn't need revenge. I just got too damn good to ignore.